Forages have always been the foundation of a successful cattle program, and they're becoming even more critical as feed prices continue to skyrocket. Cattleman reporter Matt Fleck has more.
The beef industry is in the middle of a long-term economic shift. For many years, the availability of cheap feed grain influenced the structure of the beef industry and the types of production systems used. Now, however, record-high corn prices and tight supplies have ranchers searching for alternatives to the typical high corn finishing diets that used to get cattle ready for market.
You know, for many years we had an incentive to utilize as much corn as possible. Corn was in many cases cheaper than forage. As time goes on, we're now 5-6 years into this thing. I think the industry begins to realize, hey, this is a permanent change. We're going to see higher feed prices at some level. We're not sure where they're going to settle out, but they're probably going to be significantly higher than they have been for the last 25 or 30 years. And so once we recognize this is more of a permanent thing, then we begin to not only make short-run adjustments, but make more fundamental long-term changes in the types of production systems that are going to be most efficient in this new environment.
These higher corn prices have raised the value of forage. As a result, it has become cheaper to put cattle gain on grass rather than the feedlot.
We have an incentive now to back away a little bit from some of the grain intensity that we have utilized very effectively in the past. One of the things that I think producers will recognize is that forage has more value now. It's worth it to produce forage. It's worth it to manage that forage better. It's worth it to utilize that forage better. So I think overall this is going to put a lot of emphasis on the forage side of the industry.
As the value of forage has increased, so has the value of good forage management. There are many factors that can affect forage quality, but grazing management to improve pasture utilization is one key area to ensure good productivity and forage quality.
If you go and look at the opportunities among many beef cattle producers, the opportunity to improve and fine-tune through better grazing management is right at the top of my list. It just forces us back to the basics. It forces us back to the basics of forages that helps us to do the job we need to do of producing a quality product. And we know there's a lot of things involved in that. I think the critical thing is to utilize what we grow efficiently. Grazing management, rotational grazing, is going to be a driving force as we move quality forages forward, as we permit quality forages to play a more important role in producing quality animal products. We probably, realistically, we waste about a third of the forage that we produce. And I think if we can just simply do a better job with our grazing management, go from that one big pasture to 3 or 4 smaller pastures, we can go from that 30% utilization up to 50, 55, 60, or even 65%. If we do that with no additional inputs, that's like doubling the size of the farm.
Ultimately, the most profitable forage programs are ones into which thoughtful planning is put. The top producers are always working to improve their operations and are willing to make changes in order to stay on top.
Energy prices are higher, corn prices are higher. We have to be able to be more efficient, do more with less, and utilize the resources that we have available to us, which in this case, it tends to be based around forage. I think with the advent over the last 3 or 4 years of the increased escalation in grain prices, it's really created an environment where to be more efficient and more profit-oriented producers are turning more toward forage-based systems rather than grain feeding systems. I do think there's some opportunities for producers that are willing to adapt, but a lot of it gets back to efficiencies. How can I do more with less? I know that's kind of cliched, but it's probably never been more important than it is right now. And again, maybe looking at doing things in a less traditional sense, maybe not the way that we've done it for the last 20 or 25 years.
The idea here is to be creative, to be open to some new ideas. The dynamics are going to continue to change, so you're going to have to pencil it out over and over again as we go, but there will be significant opportunities for producers if they're prepared to make those changes when the opportunities present themselves.
As the demands on forage increase, so does the need to have a strong forage base. Not only does the grazing have to be properly managed, but weed and brush control is critical as well to increase grass production and ensure grazing livestock can access it. Dow AgriSciences offers a full line of products to suit nearly any rangeland or pasture management situation.
That's one of the good things that comes from utilizing our portfolio. We have many residual herbicides that allows you to go out early into the season and then depend on that soil residual control to provide you season-long control of the weeds. Grazon Next and Forefront are available this year in a brand new high-load formulation. Makes it a lot easier for you to mix and get it out there on your ranch. And it does a wonderful job of controlling most of the tough-to-control perennial weeds. Weeds like thistles up north and particularly horse nettle down south. It does a pretty good job on blackberries as well. And our newest one, Chaparral, does an excellent job on buckbrush up in the northern part of the world, and really does a fantastic job of controlling Canada thistle that usually grows in conjunction with that buckbrush. Down south, we utilize Chaparral for control of blackberries as well as Pensacola bahia grass. It'll take that out of your Bermuda grass hay and really improve the value of it.
Changes in the cattle industry bring challenges, but also opportunities. For the foreseeable future, there is more value in forage, and more producers are willing to put in the time and effort to properly manage their resources.
We see producers probably keeping cattle on grass a little bit longer before moving them into the feedlot. Putting more weight on the cattle with forages is going to be very economical.
That's not to say that we're going to completely eliminate grain feeding in the U.S. cattle industry, because I don't believe we will, but we're going to see more and more forage being utilized potentially for a longer period of time.
The bottom line is forage has more value, and at this point in time, for the next several years, anything we do that's utilizing those forage resources has quite a bit of value.
One of the very important fundamentals that we've learned repeatedly over the last few years is that the cheapest source of nutrients that we put in our ruminant animals are nutrients from grazed pasture. So every day we can graze, every day we can meet those nutritional needs from grazing is money ahead.
I'm Matt Fleck, reporting for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
For more information on the Dow line of range and pasture herbicides, go to rangeandpasture.com or just visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll be right back.